Welcome to the Lovability Podcast. My name is Jennifer Stiers, and I'm here to talk love, relationships, sex, marriage, and everything in between. Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to the Lovability Show. So I'm excited about today. I had one of those weeks where there was all these lessons coming to me, all these things that people still need to learn. The basics, the simple basics of moves and mindsets that keep you single. There are things, and they're blind spots, everybody. There are things that you're doing, saying, and believing that might be keeping you from being single. And I said it in my post on Facebook that if you're one of those people that thinks you're doing it right, you're the ones that need to be listening because you're usually the ones that have the blind spots. So thank you all that are tuning in for being humble enough to realize that this is all a learning process for all of us. So we're all learning along the way. I'm in the studio today with my guest, Jim Gauch, and Jim he's starting a podcast, The Alpha Man of God. And Jim and I have been friends for a while, and I thought he would be fun for this discussion today. So thank you, Jim. Welcome to Lovability Show. Thanks for joining us. So real quick, I want to give an announcement for a couple weeks from now. The beginning of September, the first Friday in September, I am having my friend and sponsor, Adine Kingston. She is a dermatologist in Uptown, and that's her pretty face on the screen. She's going to be in studio, and we're going to be talking about things you can do to enhance your appearance as we are all getting older. Because it's happening. But instead of doing that for an hour, even though we probably could talk about it for an hour, we're going to do a podcast called My Favorite Things. And so she's going to bring in her favorite things. I'm going to bring in my favorite things. And we're going to be doing a lot of like giveaways and freebies and promotions and stuff during that podcast. So I want you all to tune in. So she's going to be live in studio. We're going to be giving away, at that point, we're going to give away a whole face full of Jeuveau, which she has Jeuveau day today. She's doing $10 a day all day at $10 a unit all day today. So she's booked up. I think she has 100 appointments today, wow, which is crazy. But in the first week in September, ladies, gentlemen, we're not leaving you guys out. I promise. Tune in. We've got lots of fun giveaways that day to enhance your life and make it more fun and make you feel better and more confident about everything. So anyway, so here we go. Let's get started. Let's dive right in. So here's the thing with people being single is that, okay, I'll say the first one. As we get older, if you've been in a relationship and you have grown, hopefully, from each one, there are lessons you should be taking from them and wounds you should be leaving behind, right?
I agree.
And a lot of you are not healing first. So I wanted to get to that first. What's the first thing that's going to keep you from experiencing love or a relationship is not being prepared for it, right?
Right.
So that could be emotionally ready, physically ready. You know, if there's a lot of people out there that have very busy careers and they don't have the time, right? And that I see people that are very motivated to be in a relationship, but they don't have the time to be in one. You need to wait until you have time.
Right.
Because it requires such energy and focus and intention when you're getting to know somebody new. And that courting process is taking place, you have to be there for it.
Sure.
Right? So that is the important part of all of this. Looks like we've lost our live stream. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that. So in real life, we have glitches. So we just had one. Okay, so we were talking about being available, like that being the very first point is that we need to make sure that we're emotionally and we're not back. Okay, or we're emotionally and physically available for a new relationship. So that means prioritizing things. And if it isn't a priority, if you've got a travel schedule, if you work a lot, if you've got a lot of things coming up, don't try dating. If you're too busy to date and court somebody or to put the energy into a relationship, it's not the best idea to start one, right? Mm-hmm. You see people that get in and then they don't hear from somebody. And that's another thing, as far as moves that keep you single, not engaging with somebody. I mean, if somebody texts you or they contact you or they're trying to call you or they're asking you out on dates, if you want to be with them, you need to be responsive, right?
I agree. And if you don't want to be, you've got to be upfront.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes.
This whole idea of not responding, blowing somebody off, ghosting, whatever the new cliche term is now, it's irresponsible. It's rude. It shows a lack of character.
Yes, it does.
It's incredibly important to just be upfront with people.
Right. I'm trying to be mindful here, but I'm not seeing comments yet. So.
I don't see any comments. There's 11 viewers.
Okay. All right.
Sure,
So, okay, here we are. We're back. Okay. All right. So the next thing we'll talk about is dating patterns. So this is another big thing we need to dive into before we get out there. This is part of the healing process. Is you need to know what your dating patterns are. What are you doing? What have you been doing? What have you been attracting that's not working for you? And Jim, I can tell you as a matchmaker and a coach, the hardest part of my job is getting people out of that pattern. It's not working. It's somebody that they know is the wrong type of person for them, but yet they want to stick with that type and expect a different result after years.
The definition of insanity.
Exactly. Simple. You've got to try different things. You've got to know what your patterns are. If you don't, go see somebody and talk about them. I know the other part of this is, a lot of you have read a lot, and I love that you're here and you're doing things like this to get better and more knowledgeable and enlightened about what you're doing. But sometimes it requires a deeper dive because some of your patterns are embedded in your belief system, which is embedded in your childhood traumas, which you really have to, which that's in the title. I talked about limiting beliefs. You've got to get through your limiting beliefs if you're ever going to have a successful relationship. Let's talk about some of those limiting beliefs.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, back to your previous point, when you're talking about habits, when you're talking about your dating patterns, your relationship patterns, whatever, it's incredibly simple to go back and identify and take a look objectively at every individual that you were in a relationship with. And heck, go as far as write down the qualities that they had, good and bad, how the relationship ended, what were the tell signs, whatever it is. You'll be able to pull out massive similarities along the line. It's staring you right in the face. What didn't work and what did work.
Perfect.
But and we can dive deeper into childhood trauma, the way that you were raised, things that were instilled in your mind, on the conscious and subconscious level. But it boils down to, are you the best version of yourself? If you want to end up with somebody, do they not deserve to have the best version of you and vice versa? Are you the best version of yourself? And getting there takes a long period of time. And the minute you start thinking, yep, I'm the best version of myself, you're wrong. You need to continue to explore. You talk about getting help, finding somebody like you, finding a counselor, somebody at church, whatever the case may be, somebody that's a lifelong friend that's going to shoot straight with you. Those are people in your life that can tell you that you're getting to the point of being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think the other blind spot in all of this is that people think they've done the work and they think they are the best version of themselves. But if your relationships aren't working and you end up in toxic or unhealthy relationships, or they're not moving beyond a certain point, or you can't find that somebody, you're probably not the best version of yourself.
Agree.
And so the signs are there. You may think you are, but you can't. Nobody can. Even myself as a counselor and my other counselor friends, we can't be objective to ourselves. We can't see our own blind spots. Sometimes we can. I mean, see some of them, but sometimes
takes time. It takes
we
time.
can't. Yeah. You know, the best part about doing what I do is, whether it's in counseling appointments or even sitting here on the podcast talking to people, I hear things. I'm like, ooh, I need to do that. Or, oh, you know, I need to pay attention. You know, it's just, it's a nice constant reminder. So I'm blessed that I have this job.
Absolutely.
But hey, everybody, great to see you. Long pause, Cindy, but we're back. Thank you all for being here. Jasmine, hello from California. Christy, and April and Jim. Yeah, Jim says you never stop growing, and you don't. Even doing what I do, guys, like I'm always growing and learning and having aha moments. Even it's easier for somebody like myself that does this for a living to notice when I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing or thinking something I shouldn't be thinking. But limiting beliefs is a really good place to start, because I hear limiting beliefs all the time with people. Like, maybe I'm just doing this all wrong, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not good at picking partners. You know, those kind of things where you have those limiting beliefs about who you are and what your ability is, they will keep you from finding your one. They will keep you from attracting the right person to you. If you're not clear, and this is number one on this list of finding the one in blind spots, if you're not clear on what you want, crystal clear, you're not going to find it. That's where, if you're getting a hodgepodge of a lot of different people, like if you're online dating or you're dating and everybody's really different, because I'll hear people say that they're all so different. I don't have a pattern. I've just got all these different people. Well, that's where your problem is. If you can't find your pattern, or you're dating a lot of people that are different, you're not clear on what you're looking for and what you want. And that's where the clarity needs to happen. Sure. And I talk about this constantly. I'll keep talking about it till everybody hears it, but you need to know what you want. You need to know who your partner is. I think I talked about this last week. I'll say it again. Who are they? What is their personality like? What do they like to do for fun? What is their lifestyle like? What are their values and morals like? Religious preferences, how they feel about kids and family, all the important stuff. How do they treat you? Like, you need to know and visualize this person. And if you can't do that, you're not going to attract them.
Agree.
Yeah. So that clarity is super, super important. You know, I guess now is a great time to talk about that clarity. It's also really important that people don't put these, this drives me crazy. And I know I'm stuttering trying to get it out because I want to say it nicely, but some of you have unrealistic expectations. If you're that person and you're a certain age, let's say you're 50. We'll just say 50.
Okay.
You're 50, but you want to tell me, I say, how old are you? And you say, well, okay, my biological age is 50, but I don't look 50. I don't act 50, and I don't even hang around with 50-year-olds.
Hate to break it to you, you're 50.
God. Stop it. Stop it. You're 50 and you probably look 50. And sometimes you look 55 when you think you look 40. And I'm just being, and I know because somebody has to say it. I deal with this on a weekly basis. I don't know what it is about when you look in the mirror, and we've talked about this before, but you look in the mirror and I think we see ourselves as our best selves. You know, we see ourselves 30 years younger. but other people don't necessarily. And you have to take that into account. And I'm going to say that because I'm a matchmaker. I have to do this. I have to present people realistically to somebody else. Just because you think you look 50 and you're 65, or you think you look 40 and you're 65, doesn't mean that you do, and doesn't mean that anybody else is going to think so either. So you've got to be realistic with what you're looking for on who you are. It doesn't matter how great you are. There's so many great people out there. You've got to be uniquely you and know what you bring to the table, and you need to be looking for your partner in a realistic dating pool. You know, it is about being equally yoked.
Well, you brought up, I want to touch on something. Uniquely you. We live in a society to where everybody's comparing themselves to everybody else.
Right.
Okay? And it gives unrealistic expectations. Now, I believe there's a difference between expectations and standards.
Right.
I believe that we make a mistake holding anybody, expecting anything from anyone other than ourselves.
Yeah.
But being uniquely you, I'm a religious man. I am a God-fearing man. I devote my life to him every day. But I'm telling you, he only made one of you. There's one person that is uniquely you. And that's something to be built on. That's something to be built on and say, okay, I'm going to focus on being the best version of me, the unique me that God made, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. Doesn't mean that you achieve those goals. It means that you find joy in the process. You find joy in the journey. And as long as you are growing in those areas, you develop you create the better version of you. And it's always getting better. It's always getting better. It's always getting better. I look at it and I go, love Jesus. And this is for me. Love Jesus. Be smart. And that doesn't mean be smart like you're book smart and you can outwit me in anything, but continue to grow in your knowledge and your intelligence. Expand, be thoughtful and kind, be generous with your time and your resources. Those things right there, if you can work on those, and that creates the best version of everybody out there.
Yes.
And quit having these outrageous expectations. I spend a lot of time on social media. I have a reasonable social media following. I'm on there. I try to help as many people as I can. And I'll tell you, if you continue to post about how horrible your life is, how horrible this man or this woman did to you, if you continue to do that, all you're doing is attracting negative to you all the time.
Right.
How can you break out of that if you're continually being saturated? I believe that's a form of addiction, because we, generally speaking, we are addicted to the negative. We're addicted to the drama. We're addicted to the stress. And you want to know let's say hypothetically, you've been dating somebody for a period of time and they decide they don't want to be with you anymore, but you love that person so much. The rule is, I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to blow them up. I'm going to call them. I'm going to text them. I'm going to post it all over social media, all this stuff. There are a lot of ways to love somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to know that one of the purest ways to love someone, if they don't want to be with you, bring them peace and leave. That's a demonstration of love. I love you enough to let you go. Now, let something go. If it's meant to come back, it's meant to come back. I don't know all the inner workings of what God's thinking and his plans and all these things. But we have to get back to a point to where we do not have expectations of anybody other than ourselves. We have standards. We're working on being the best version of ourselves all the time, never being able to actually get there. But you find joy in that process, because I promise you do those things, somebody else is going to find joy in that process with you.
Yeah.
They are.
And you do also have to know, and you had talked about focusing on the negative, and Greg had said also, Greg's a friend of mine, and he's a therapist, and he said people do tend to focus on the negative. And, it's funny, I always give people and my clients an I am list. It's one of the first things I have them do. And my one rule is you got to put 100 things on the list and they've all got to be positive. And
Amen.
that's a hard thing for some people to do because they are very in tune with the things that aren't right about them. And we need to know what is right about us. Now, that doesn't mean that we also need to know our weaknesses.
Sure.
You know, we should know them and we should own them and be actively working to
But how
make
do you
those
frame
better.
it? How do you frame it in your mind, your weaknesses? How do you frame it? Craig Rochelle, great pastor at Life Church in Oklahoma City, 37 branches all over the country, et cetera, et cetera. Love following him, read his book, everything. How do you frame it? You have weaknesses. Absolutely you do. But but how do you frame it? Do you frame those weaknesses as opportunities for growth and development and to turn those weaknesses into strengths? Or do you view it as, yeah, I really suck at this. Yeah, might not want to shed any light on that. Might want to hide behind the curtain on that one, right?
Right.
Stop hiding. So it's everything on the negative. Everything is how you frame it.
Yeah. And, you know, Jim, I think that's a great point. You know, when you were talking about what keeps you single, not knowing your gifts and what you bring to the table and your greatness is going to keep you out of the dating, out of finding your best if you don't know what you offer.
Right.
So we are uniquely ourselves. I know I put a post up this week and it was funny, but it was true. But as you get older, you just don't give a damn anymore. It's
No.
and you really, it's a great place to be. It's a very freeing place to be where I don't care what people think. This is who I am and this is how I feel. And I'm not afraid to say it. And that's a great place to be. But if you haven't gotten there and you don't know who you are and you aren't owning the positive and the negative and everything and making it lovingly who you are, because all of that stuff makes you who you are, then there's some work to do, because when you show up, you do have to be different. If you're sitting in front of somebody for the first time on a first date, they're going to want to know what sets you apart.
Right.
What makes you unique? Why should they be with you versus everybody else that is out there that they could have an opportunity with?
Right.
If you don't know your greatness and your strengths and what you stand for, and you're not confident in that, you're probably not going to attract the great partner. So that's a really
Confidence
important
is
point.
a huge deal. I mean, it's a huge deal. And there's a thin line between confidence and egotism.
Right.
You know, confidence is a huge deal. You know, it's and confidence is all about you understanding what you bring to the table, you being comfortable with it, secure in your own skin, understanding, back to the previous point, you are uniquely you. And no matter what decision comes out of that dynamic, you're okay.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, you're better than okay. You know, it is what it is. Win some, lose some. But don't come to the table without anything to offer. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, and you know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Post-COVID is the best time right now to be looking for love, because people are so intentional. So you've got to make sure that you are on your game. You know, that you're at the top of your game, I should say. So that means healing, knowing what you want, being clear on what you want, not playing any games. And you know, one of the other things too is I think people hiding under that realm of being picky. I want you to be discerning. Everyone should be discerning about who they're choosing, but we don't need to be nitpicky. And people get nitpicky. You know, I talked to a gentleman last week, and he was talking about, well, I really like to date women that are like size 0 or 2, 4 at the most. And it's like, you know, I mean,
Not in style anymore, bro. Just kidding.
I mean, you talk about being too picky. What are you leaving on the table? You know, and all of his
Right.
relationships have been superficial and, of course, superficial. And, you know, they've left him and he's had very bad results from that. I don't know if he's watching or not. I want to be nice about it. But that's because we're looking on the outside for what we should be looking for on the inside. So we've got to be discerning, not picky. We
Right.
got to know what our
there's a difference.
negotiables are, our non-negotiables are, what we want, what we're not willing to compromise on. And the things that we're not willing to compromise on, I want to be careful on this because, I'm going to be careful. The superficial things, the things on the outside, we really need to be careful on. I get it if you're a really active person and you're in shape and you have an active lifestyle, you work out, taking care of yourself and looking good matters to you. You're not going to want to be with a very overweight person. I get it. I'm not saying do that. But I am saying that just because you're in great shape doesn't mean you have to be with somebody, or you're in okay shape doesn't mean you have to be with somebody who's a size 0, 2, or 4. You know what I mean? I mean, this is where you're losing it and potentially losing out on a great person, is waiting out for something that doesn't exist.
Right.
You know, so you're going to have to make compromises and sacrifices in what you want, but in the right places, not in your negotiables and non-negotiables. I mean, your values, who you are, your lifestyle, you have to be able to live with that person and get along with that person. That person should be your best friend. Yes, you want them in shape, but do they have to be a certain size, or do they have to look a certain way or be a certain height? Ladies, you do this with height. Ladies, you do this with height. I'm going to say that again, because this is a place where, ladies, you lose great guys. Not all guys are 6 foot tall. And just because you're 5'5" or 5'4" and you want to wear your 5-inch heels, you're going to miss out on a great guy that may only be a few inches taller than you if you don't open your eyes and change your list up a little bit. Who he is and what he stands for is way more important than his height or what heel size you wear, right? So you may have to adjust that. I know I did years ago. I dated a guy that was not that much taller than me, and I had to wear, for the first time, I had to buy flatter shoes. I've gotten really into it, though. I kind of dig my flat shoes.
A little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. But we can definitely make concessions where we can make concessions where it doesn't matter.
I agree.
It's who they are inside. And, I think people try too hard here, too. This is another place where we lose our time and our energy and love and stay in the wrong relationships, like you said, too long, is that we try to fit a square peg in a round hole. I like this about him, or I like this about her, but not this. It's either there or it's not.
Right.
Chemistry, not attraction, is either present or absent. So you have to have chemistry with somebody. And can chemistry grow with time? Yeah, I definitely say you would know in the first few dates.
Sure.
You may not have butterflies in your stomach, or, that person that just completely turns you on, if you're on a first or second date. But that's not necessarily what we should be looking for in a first or second date. It's great if it's there, but a lot of times when that's there at the beginning, it clouds everything else, and you stop getting to know somebody in the way that you should.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the heart can be deceived. You got to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's one thing about being the best version of yourself is, being more mentally and emotionally sound so you can see those things that are all around you. And quite honestly, everything is staring you in the face. We just let our emotions cloud it. Exactly what you just said. Everything is staring us right in our face. Somebody, let somebody show, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Well, we get clouded, right? I mean, it's so cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah.
People will tell you exactly who they are if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
But
people have agendas. And
absolutely. And everybody has an agenda. Everybody has an agenda,
Not true.
And I'd say generically speaking, most people have an agenda, or they have, or the agenda, I guess, comes on a little bit later. But again, what are you bringing to the table? What are you? bringing to the table every time. And this whole, this whole cycle of dating, date as many people as humanly possible, this, that, or the other, or whatever. We get so caught up in, well, the next girl's prettier. The next guy's better looking.
Grass is greener somewhere else.
The grass is greener. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that is completely false. Having been in numerous relationships in my life, I can tell you that is completely false. I can tell you from personal experience decades ago that that's completely false. And that's why I'm the man I am today, because I learned from those stupid decisions.
And I think everybody's been there. I think it's important to understand that, if you have a great thing, you stay and you work on that great thing and put your time and energy into it. And I want to say this, especially to the ladies, I've said this before. If you're dating a guy and you don't have a commitment, it's awesome that you want to get off the dating site. It's awesome that you want to wrap your life around this guy that you are seeing after 1 or 2 dates. But I'm telling you, don't do it. Do not put all your eggs in one basket yet. Yes, I don't want you with the mindset, because this is where there's it's a gray area. It's not about the grass being greener somewhere else. It's about keeping your expectations at bay. And what people do, so we talk about agendas. So people have expectations or agendas going in, and their agenda or expectation is to get into a relationship. That's a great goal to have. You wouldn't be online, hopefully, or looking for love if you didn't have that.
Hopefully.
Yes. But if you have all your eggs in one basket, there's pressure on that basket.
Agreed.
There's a whole lot of pressure on that basket. And you don't want to do that to somebody new in your life. Let it evolve as it's going to evolve. And don't put pressure on anybody, because pressure will push people away. It will push people away. You have to feel out somebody's the way that they move, and you have to move with that versus your agenda. And people do. They have agendas. People move too fast. It's not just women that want a relationship, or women, they want kids and their biological clock's ticking. That'll do it too.
Sure.
But nobody needs to move too fast,
right,
too quickly, and get serious too quickly. Slow the heck down. It's great if you find somebody awesome, but you're not in a race. It's not a race, right? It's a marathon, right? And it's for the long haul. If it's for the long haul, take your time. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because the pressure that you put on yourself to just be with that one person, and if they don't ask you out, or if they're out of town for the weekend, or they're doing something and they're busy, and now you're sitting at home alone, now that's not their fault, because that's what people do. They're like, well, he's not available for me, and he's not asking me out enough, and we're not doing enough together. Well, get your tail busy. You need to be busy. You don't need to put your whole life and future and social life into this new person's hands. Take your time. Take your time. Yeah, until you're in a committed relationship.
Which it takes two to agree on that, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Until you're in a committed relationship.
Until you've sat down and had that conversation and said, nope, it's us. It's us, and this is how we're going to move forward.
Right.
It's...
But it's slow down. I mean, at the end of the day, the message is slow down. If you find something great, focus on it, enjoy it, and allow it to evolve as it needs to, right? Kelly says the grass is greener where you water it. It certainly is.
Oh, absolutely.
It certainly is. And water it lightly until you get to a point where it's appropriate to move forward at that point. And like you said, Jim, it'll be mutual.
Absolutely.
That's how you know.
And kind of like a small segue from that, imagine a dating scene where every single time you went out with somebody, whether it was something that turned into something later on or whatever, that your sole goal was to bless that person when you were there, okay? Bless that person. Then transcend that into a committed relationship. Imagine if both individuals' goals were to bless the other person, expecting nothing in return. See, that's where we're missing this whole thing. We expect. but we never expect of ourselves. We expect we did this, we should get it back in return. Or you end a relationship, or your relationship is rocky, but I've done this, and this. Now, wait a minute. If you truly cared, everything that you did out of the kindness and generosity of your heart,
That's
expecting
true.
nothing in return. So you're telling me this is a transactional-based relationship. I don't think so, you know?
But when it's natural, it moves both ways.
Absolutely it does.
Yeah.
And if both individuals are looking to bless the other one, expecting nothing in return, now I'm not talking about infidelity. I'm not talking about physical, mental, or emotional abuse. I'm not talking about any of that.
Right.
I'm talking about a committed relationship. Now, if you've got somebody who's a bum that's just hanging out all the time, isn't moving forward, no vision, no goals, no wanting to build anything with you, okay, move on. Move on. You deserve better. Everybody does. But blessing one another in a relationship, that should be the goal.
And honoring where someone else is. Just because you're in a certain place or you've had certain experiences, it doesn't mean somebody else is in that place
Absolutely.
too. So we always have to be looking to that other person and learning. That's what dates are about, is learning about them and seeing where they are, what they want, what they're looking for, what their journey has been, and moving within both people's comfort zones.
Sure.
So I also want to talk about just the tail end of that is being a little aggressive about it. You know, you don't have to be aggressive to get what you want. That goes for men and women, meaning be appropriate in the way that you approach somebody, and it's not a competition.
Absolutely.
And I think so often, and I can't say post-COVID it's like this, because I haven't really seen it, because men are more receptive now. Ladies, men are more receptive now. They're a lot more open. I think they're more open to a relationship than women are right now. They're just in a better space. So ladies, you're in a really good spot right now, but you're not competing for a man. So you don't have to be aggressive and do things to compromise who you are or the natural pace of a relationship to get a man or to keep a woman. So, and guys, don't compromise your integrity either. If you feel like you're not getting what you deserve, quit hanging out, quit asking
Sure.
her out. If somebody likes you, you'll know. I think I just posted this today, but it's like one of those, you have these simple truths in life, but if somebody likes you, you'll know. And if they don't, that's when you get in your head and you're confused. And nobody wants to be in that confused place. If you're confused, if you're asking questions, there's a reason for it.
Your mind will mess with you.
Yeah, it's not the right thing.
Right.
I want to bring this point up too as well, things that are keeping you single. And I talk to single people all day long. Jim, you'd be shocked at this, but people aren't going out. You have to go out. I know we've been in a pandemic, but we're not anymore. And there's ways you can safely go out. Get out. You've got to see people. You've got to meet people. You need to get your game back on, because a lot of people lost it.
Absolutely.
They became antisocial we're not built psychologically for
We're social
lockups.
creatures.
Yeah. So I get that we're a little rusty, but you need to get out. And I was just talking to one of my coaching clients yesterday. She lives near LA. So she's in a really busy, big area, Dallas too. This may mean you broaden your search. Yes, we know for you people in Dallas that going past 635, if you live in the city of Dallas, is really hard for you. It's really hard and difficult to cross over 635 to date somebody in Frisco, or South Lake or Fort Worth for that matter. Break out of that mindset. You have got to broaden your horizon. Maybe your perfect person doesn't live 5 feet from you, right? We all know that we love it to be convenient, right?
Sure.
People go, oh, I like to go out to dinner and, see my person like multiple times a week. Great, make it work. But broaden your horizon, broaden your search, hit more mileage. If you live in Dallas, go to Fort Worth one night for dinner and to have fun. Get out and try something different, right? Your person may not be at the house next door.
Right.
Right?
Odds are they're not.
Yeah, probably not. Jim says, do you guys and gals feel that people are so anxious to be in a romantic relationship that they don't even know if they like each other? Possibly, yeah.
That's possible. Absolutely. I think it's more possible.
I mean,
more than
people
possible.
are getting in relationships because they want a relationship without even, and this is where we compromise. This is where we make excuses as we go, well, they're really nice, and I like this about him and this about him, and this is missing, chemistry's missing, and I don't like this about him, but I need to give him more time. And you have to realize when you're doing it for the right reasons and doing it for the wrong reasons. So yes, if it's for the right reasons, it's not, the superficial stuff. If they're meeting all of your your non-negotiables, they're meeting all of those, and yet I hate to say it, but if that physical part, that chemistry part hasn't happened by the third or fourth date, it's probably not coming. I would say give it 3, but if it's not coming at 3, I don't know. I think that's when you move on. I think that's when you move forward. It's great to have a new friend. It's another thing to sit and waste your time and want something to happen that may never happen.
If you're dating and seeking a relationship just so you don't have to be alone,
right,
you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. And if you don't have that physical attraction, it's part of who we are. It's part of who we are. There has to be some semblance of physical, sexual, desired attraction.
It's funny. I've heard people say as they get older, they're like, you know what? The sex isn't as important as who they are inside. And that really depends on the person. I mean, I'm just going to say like that. I'm going to be honest. That depends on the person because especially you hear women, and I take care of women and men in my business as far as matchmaking. And I hear a lot of women over the age of 50, 45, 50 that will say, you know what? Sex is super important to them moving forward. They may not have had it in their marriage. They may not have had it in their previous relationship. And women are at a different point. Women aren't having sex to have babies anymore, that they've raised their kids. They're at a point sometimes as they're older that all they want to do is enjoy their person and have a spiritual, emotional, and a physical relationship with a man. So, sex could be really important to somebody. Listen for that. If it's important to you, ask questions and listen if it's, to hear if it's important for somebody else. Because I know, and again, I don't know if she's watching, but I know for sure that the guy isn't, but I think he said something, one of my clients had a guy that said something to her like, well, I'm not asexual, but I'm not a wolf or something like that. Like because he wasn't making the move. And it's like, man, if you let too much time go by where you're just friends or you're not making a move and there's nothing chemistry wise happening, you're going to lose that person. They're going to put you in the friend zone. So, I'm here to tell you don't jump in bed with people. I'm not saying do that. Don't do it. What I am saying is you should engage in some type of intimate something within the first few dates, not the first, but the first few dates of dating somebody, an intimate kiss, something to let them know that you're interested and to see if there's any chemistry that's exchanged because it's done through our senses and smell is a lot of it too. So that's important that you get yourself out of the friend zone too. And ladies, I hear you get in this a lot too with guys is that, you'll be watching your P's and Q's on your first few dates and being friendly and getting to know them and very best friendly with a guy. But if you allow yourself to get in that friend zone and never show your sensuality and your sexuality and your sexiness and all of that to a man, he's not going to want you. He's going to lose interest too. So it's a balance. It's a balance because you don't want to move too fast. but you also don't want it to be non-existent, you know?
Well, I'll tell you, and my faith moves me in a direction when it has to do with sex. But I will tell you this: sex is one of the most important, if not in the first one or two, top two, in any committed relationship. You have to have it. You are doomed to fail if you do not have it. And when I mean have it, I mean on a very regular basis, barring illnesses, et cetera, et cetera. You put yourself in a better position to be healthy, physically healthy, inside and outside. The science has proven this. If you are not in your relationship sexually active, you are making a huge mistake. Yeah. If one person has no interest in it, this, that, or the other, I'm sorry. Work on it. Try to get there. If you can't get there, it's time to go. It is a vital part of any relationship, any long-term relationship.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. Jasmine, you have a great question. How do you let people know that you have a busy schedule, but you'd like to get to know them in the beginning? So for you, you have commitments with your kids. And this is clearly a big, it's a great question. And it is just communicate. Let them know, hey, I have a busy schedule. I will make you a priority. So I think sometimes that takes planning.
And be creative.
Yeah, it takes planning. And I want to hear what you have to say about being creative. But plan for it. So let them know, like, I can do weekends or I can do during the week, but I have to plan in advance because of my kids. So if that's okay with you, let's just, lay that on the table. And the other part of it too, Jasmine, is your end of it. You also need to be flexible. Meaning if somebody's important to you, maybe it is taking that weekday night, and getting a sitter or having family come over to watch your kids and taking that time in the beginning to get to know somebody. Because I do know some people that have been divorced that don't want to get a sitter. And they don't want to ever leave their kids when it's their weekend or it's their time. And, having a love life and having a good role model for love and relationships in your home is what your kids need the most. They don't want to see you single. They don't want to see you completely.
Well, they don't want to see you trapped in the house all the time either. They want to
with them.
In order to rear your children the right way, they have to be exposed to not just their parent and this, oh my gosh, caters to this.
Yes.
No, their human being parent, because they might not identify with it now or understand it, but later on down the road, we're prepping our children for the future, not today. We're doing the best we can to prep them for the future. You've got to set that example in your relationships, in you're finding the right person, your ability to sit there and go, you know what, kids, tonight, grandma's going to stay with you, or for the next 2 hours, I've got a babysitter coming in, because mom, dad has to have that time. There's no way you can be a healthy parent without maintaining your own health.
You are 100% right, Jim. Perfect point. My parents, when I was little, I remember they always went on date night once a week. We had a sitter, and my parents went on date night. So good for them. That's why they're still married at 60 years
Love
now.
It. Saw that.
The other thing, because I know we're running out of time, I think this is super important in this day and age of distractions. We need to be approachable. Here's where we lose it. We are so wrapped up in what we're doing. We're so wrapped up in these things. We're on our phone. Our heads are down. We're somewhere sitting, having dinner, texting. I can't tell you the amount of times I see people out to dinner on a date, and the two of them aren't even talking. They're literally both on their phones texting or doing something on their phones. Yeah. I've seen complete families, like mom, dad, 2 kids, and everybody's on their phone. Nobody's talking to each other. Yep. This is where we lose engagement and intimacy. We need to be approachable. That means, and people always laugh at me like, how do you meet somebody at a grocery store or wherever you are? Look up when you're walking and look at people, make eye contact with them, smile at them, say hi. They can actually see your mouth now without a mask on, right?
Right.
Say hi, engage. And it doesn't need to be that you have an agenda because you want to date them. Say hi to whomever.
You're being kind and thoughtful.
Yeah.
That's all.
Pay attention.
With no expectation. See, that's the thing. Kind and thoughtful with no expectation, expecting nothing in return. Just show kindness.
Right.
Just show kindness.
Right. And be present.
Be
And
present.
I think that's the thing I'm saying here is be present, because you could lose somebody amazing that's right in front of you. It could be the friend of a friend that's come over to drop something off and you've just completely missed, the person that was with. I mean, you have to pay attention. People that are available and want love are everywhere. The best of them, sorry, I know some of you, I get it. You're online, you're trying to find people that way. Some of the best people are not online. And I'm just telling you that from what I do. Some of the best people don't want to go that route. So how do you find those people? You get offline and start getting out. Do what you love. Go find the things that you enjoy doing. Walking in the park, taking a hike, going to the dog park, going rollerblading. Yeah, people still do that. I know somebody my neighbor went roller
See, I
skating the other day.
prefer the roller skates with the 4 wheels on each one of them. The rollerblading, the single wheel thing, yeah, not so much. I want to go back to I grew up, I cannot believe we segued to that. I grew up going to the roller skating rink. That's how old I am. It was a blast. I loved every minute of it.
I miss roller skating.
I do too, very much.
But find the things that you love. Find the things that you love. If it's the arts, if it's concerts, it's music, whatever it is that you love doing, go do that and be present. Look around. Don't be on your phone. Don't be so engaged with your girlfriend or your guy friend that you're not looking around and meeting people. Meet people. Talk to people. I know even at my party that I did about a month ago, we were all hot. It was hot, and everybody was sitting down and kind of chatting and got real comfortable. Yeah. And I finally had to say, get up, get off your tush, which is life. Get off your tush and get out and meet people. Right. That's how you do it. Go find somebody you don't know.
Go
smile
have a conversation.
At somebody. Say hello. Yeah, engage.
I real quick, I know we're running out of time, even though I really don't know how much time we got left. I am massive anti-dating websites. Everything that you just said right there, seeking out help from people like you, okay, who do a fantastic job. I am so anti-dating website because I'll be brutally honest, period. And everybody knows it if they're brutally honest with themselves. It's a meat market. That's all it is. It's a meat market. And I'm talking about from personal experience and people that I've known, countless. Get off the dating websites. Go talk to somebody like Jennifer. Go out to the park. Go to the gym. Take a run. Go to the coffee shop, concerts, whatever the case may be. Go have dinner by yourself. Go whatever. Yeah. Don't be afraid of doing things alone, because when you're doing things alone and you're comfortable enough in yourself, the unique version that is you, and you're comfortable being alone, you'll be amazed at how clearly you see what's around you.
Yes.
Give it a shot. Get off of that stuff.
Yeah. And you know what? When you get off of that stuff, it's a crutch. And I get it. We're all busy. But
it is a crutch.
If you pay attention and you're present in life and you make loving people and blessing people, as you say,
amen,
you're part of your world on a daily basis, you'll meet a million people doing whatever you're doing. So just pay attention. It's not that hard. And, the dating websites are really hard to navigate. Can people find their mate on there?
Sure,
people do. Is it a chance in a million? I think it is. I mean, I think sometimes people just intersect there and it happens. But for the most part, these are other people that may or may not be willing to do the work. I was just talking to a client the other day and she's like, these people don't want to drive. I live, further away from them. They don't want to drive. They're lazy. They're on a dating website,
Absolutely.
They're not getting off their tush. Go find the people that are already off their tush looking, and maybe they're the ones that'll put the effort in. So, okay.
Agreed.
Anyway, so just to wrap this up really quick. So we want to look at our beliefs about dating, about ourselves, our limiting beliefs about dating and ourselves. We want to make sure we're active in our search. We want to make sure that we have realistic expectations and no agendas as we're going out there. It's okay to be intentional and have an intention, but no personal agendas. Let things happen as they happen. Get out, be approachable, be present. and quit with the unrealistic expectations.
Right.
That's where, it's great to make your list, great to be intentional about what you want, but stop with these superficial things, guys and girls alike. Stop with all the superficial things and open up the realm of possibility to what if you're just not seeing, you're not in the right place, you're not putting yourself out in the right places, you're not looking in the right places. Even in the big city of Dallas, Fort Worth, you can go outside of DFW to find somebody. You don't have to, your person does not have to live within walking distance to your home, right? So be a little bit more creative and open to love.
Right.
Okay. You know what? Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here this week. And we will see you next Friday. Last Friday in August. I can't. Where did the month go?
Well, hey, September 9th, football season.
It's the 4th, right?
September 9th is the first game of the year. It's a Thursday. Cowboys against
I'm talking
Tampa
college
Bay.
football. It's September 4th.
Oh, sorry, September 4th. That's your day.
Georgia
There you go.
Clemson. We're
That's
ready.
it. Oh,
Okay, we're
my.
counting down the days. All right, y'all. Love you. Have a great weekend. This is Jennifer. Thanks for listening today. And please subscribe to the podcast. Every single week, we'll have new information. And if you'd like to find out more information or if you have any questions, please go to my website at lovejen.com, or you can find me on Facebook at my personal page, Jennifer Stiers.